The soul ties thing was a big delivery moment for me. Sorry, some of you guys have already heard this, but I got saved when I was 20 years old. I was about to be 21, and I was a bartender and did whatever I wanted to do. And I went away to a Christian college, and I met the only guy that was there on a soccer scholarship and had never been to church before. So for 2 years while I was in college, I dated this guy, and about a year and a half into the dating, I was pretty in love with Jesus, but I was pretty in love with him too. And so about a year and a half in, the commitment that we had made to wait kind of fell apart. And so we were together, and we split up about 6 months later, and a week and a half after we split up, I found out I was pregnant with my daughter. So, and most of y'all probably know her. She's the beautiful 6'3" girl that's at church on Sunday mornings. Y'all know who I'm talking about. You really can't miss her. So it's turned out to be one of the most amazing blessings in my life. But here's my soul tie thing. I was already working with Jan, and I'd worked with a lot of other counselors, but this soul tie thing was pretty new to me. So when I found out that I was pregnant with Caden, he wanted to get married, and I didn't want to get married. And so he decided that he wasn't going to be part of her life. And halfway through my pregnancy, my best friend and I started dating, and we got married when Caden was 3 months old. And that's my husband, Brian. But so for a lot of years, she didn't know Eric. That's her biological dad. And none of his family knew that he had a daughter. So when Caden was about 12, I was working with Jan, and I was literally at an appointment with her that day. And I got an email that morning from one of his fraternity brothers from college, and I was a bitter, angry woman. I was in South Alabama. I'm from New York. From South Alabama, and I have this beautiful biracial daughter. Y'all know how hard that is in South Alabama. So I had a lot of anger. I had a lot of bitterness about stereotypes, and I was really, really angry at him. So I thought that I had dealt with a lot of my stuff. I know I'm giving away too many details, so I'm going to speed up. So I get this email that morning from one of his fraternity brothers telling me that he was asking about her, and that he was in the Army, and that he was actually deployed for the second time to Afghanistan. And I was, y'all ever had rage that like takes over your body and you're shaking? And I didn't know why I was so angry. So I called my friend Terry first, and I said, what is wrong with me? Why am I freaking out over this? I don't care if he's in a war zone. So I go to see Jan that day, and I said, I don't know why I'm so angry at him. And as we started talking about we hadn't broken off that soul tie yet, what kind of came up that morning with her, and I think I've only been enraged like that one other time in my life. And I couldn't wrap my brain around it. And I realized that as we were talking, my daughter, if he were killed in Afghanistan, my daughter would have no closure because his family didn't know about her. And so I wouldn't be able to like take her to a funeral or anything like that. So I didn't understand 13 years later how he could have this human being and not tell anybody, so I couldn't help her. And so as we're talking, and Jan was talking to me about the soul tie that I had with him, and the amount of anger and all of that stuff, God gave me this picture when we did the soul ties prayer. And literally, when her and I did the soul tie prayer with him, I literally felt something come off of me. If you've ever experienced that, that was a first for me. And I wanted to hold on to it, and she was saying, you have to willingly give this up, but I had that justified anger, and I wanted to stay mad at him. But what God showed me when I did the soul tie prayers, he showed me a ball of necklaces. Have you ladies ever put some gold chains in your jewelry box, and then you go in and they're tangled up, and there's just a ball of necklaces? So that was the picture that he showed me. And I realized that because of the soul tie that I had with him, everything, every rejection thing, every hurt thing between he and I, and between he and Caden and me and Caden, how it was just this nasty ball that was so intertwined, and it took kind of picking apart different pieces of the chain and undoing what was my issue and what was her issue. But breaking off that soul tie, it really, really set me free of just the bitterness and the anger. And then fast forward, she meets him this past summer, so it's 3 years later. And I can embrace whatever she wants with him and see him and be okay with him because of the soul tie work. Otherwise, it would still be weird and like, how do we all be in this thing together? So the soul ties thing is my most, this and the vows is my most passionate lessons that she teaches. Because this soul tie stuff, I don't think we realize that when we share ourselves with other people, that we really are just bound to them. We're bound to the stuff they do. They're part of who we are. You know, I took that into my marriage, and I was like Jan. I was already working with Jan, and I was in Freedom Weekend, not last time, but the time before. I'm already her assistant, and they give me the index card, and I thought that I did all my big hitters. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Like I did all the important people, but I just kind of dismissed the little ones. And so I'm in the soul testing. They do this awesome skit, and I've got this little index card, and that index card looked really, really small to me when I had to start really putting down names. So I got really, really convicted about you have more work to do on your soul ties. And I was really hysterical. And afterwards, she walks up to me, and she says, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I thought I was done with this soul ties stuff, but God showed me that even those hookups or whatever you called them when you were young, those count too." And she was like, and I said, "Oh my gosh," I had to flip my card over, and like the most righteous woman in our church was beside me, and I was like in the corner like writing down names. And you know, she of course is who she is, and she, you know, shared with me, you know, some funny things about, what did you have to write this or write that? And I was like, yeah. And she said, "Okay, all right, well now you're free." So anyways, the soul tie thing is, don't undermine or underestimate the power of how the enemy can bind you to even insignificant people, one-night stands, all of that stuff. When he brings it back to you, just release them to go have their life, and release yourself to go have that life.
Amen.